we read that doctor was with the patient. He was about to start his work. We were on page number 66, last paragraph. His thoughts were heavy and muddled. Here he was thinking of different. He was thinking of his beloved Catherine and different people. Taking an example of their life and thinking of marriage, how marriage can be for one human. He thought of the disappointing cases. The first case was of Bramwell. The second case was of Edward Page, his doctor whom he assisted. And then he decided not to think over anyone. And just to think that marriage could be good, because he wanted to think about his beloved Christine. So, can you turn to page number 67? Now, on page number 67, Sushant said not to give chloroform if it would harm baby. So here also we have read he collected himself with an effort. It won't do harm, the anesthetic. So he said kindly, and they'll be all right. So he assured that lady that everything will be fine. There would be no harm in using anesthesia. Now he was called in the room and he went upstairs. An hour elapsed. It was a long, harsh struggle. He started his work. It took 1 hour. Harsh means tough struggle. Then as the first streak of dawn strayed past the broken edges of the blind, the child was born lifeless. This is the beginning of day. At 4 o'clock, near about 4 o'clock, we generally say that day has started. Streak means ray. As the first streaks of dawn means morning, early morning, time before the sunrise. So the writer says, as the first ray of the morning came out, the day started from the broken edges. Edges means the horizon here. From the horizon, the first ray of the day came out. It is called blind because the day starts from the night. So night went off. The writer wants to say here, the night went off and the first ray of the day came out, and with the ray, the child was born. The ray of hope, the light beginning of the day. The ray of hope was the birth of the child, but the problem was the child was lifeless. Very different and beautiful expression this is, that birth has been here now, but the birth is still lifeless. As he gazed at the still form, a shiver of horror passed over Andrew. Now, few hours back, when he was sitting with the lady, the granny of the child, he assured that lady everything would be all right. Now, there was nothing all right. the baby was lifeless. So Shiva, a strange uh, wave of horror passed his body. He was scared, he was frightened. After all that he had promised, what I reminded you, he had promised, his face, heated with his own exertion, chilled suddenly. There was a sudden heat on his face because of the excitement he had in his heart. And again, it was chilled. He was cold. He was unable to decide what to do. He hesitated, torn between his desire to attempt to resuscitate the child and his obligation. So kindly pass to the next page. Again, there was again, first condition was the baby was lifeless. Then the other problem was he was to decide what to do because the mother was also in critical condition. His obligation towards mother. What is about mother who was herself in a desperate condition? The mother of the baby was also in critical condition. So he was to decide what to do, whether to help the baby or the mother. So what he did at that moment, the dilemma, the confusion, when there is a sharp contrast between resuscitate means revive, better to bring to life. Dilemma is the confusion between two close options. Both are equally important, but you have to decide what to choose. That is called dilemma. So he was in dilemma. The dilemma was so urgent, and the decision was to be taken too quick. He did not solve it consciously. He did not put his reason to solve the problem. What he did, whatever came to his mind, he started doing. Blindly, instinctively, without thinking of anything, and instinctively, whatever comes to whatever comes to you naturally, you decide that to do. He gave the child to the nurse and turned his attention to Susan Morgan, who now lay collapsed, almost pulseless, not yet out of the ether, and upon her side. Now the lady was lying lifeless. There was no life in the lady also. She had no pulse. And she didn't come out of the anesthesia also. Ether means anesthesia. She hasn't come out of the anesthesia also. So he's decided to look after the mother first. His haste was desperate. He dedicatedly, with hard efforts, he started his work, a frantic race against her ebbing strength. It was a quick effort. There was a race, means his effort, he had to defeat the pulse. He had to bring pulse in the lady. Ebbing means dying strength. He had to work against the dying strength of the lady. It took him only an instant to smash a glass of ampule and inject the medicine. Ampule is the glass bottle, which many of you might have seen that way of keeping the medicine in the glass bottle, which is completely sealed. You have to break it to take out the medicine. So first of all, he broke that ampule, that container of medicine. Then he took he filled the medicine in the syringe, and then he fly down the hypodermic syringe and worked unsparingly to restore the flaccid woman. Then he turned Quickly, he turned the syringe towards the lady. He injected the medicine in her body, and he tried to restore, to keep the life again in the dying lady, lifeless lady. Lifeless lady. After a few minutes of feverish effort, her heart strengthened. For a few minutes, the doctor had to work, and then there was life in the lady. Her heart started beating. He saw that he might safely leave her. Now he was sure that he can leave the lady and can work on the baby now. He swung round in the shirt, in his shirt sleeves, his hair striking to the damp brew. Now he turned round. Swing, the second form of swing is swung. Swing is to, you all know, will swing, uh, to sway comfortably. So he turned around, and then what he did, in his shirt sleeves, his hair striking to his damp brew. Damp means wet, bros. He was sweating that time. In the season of winter, he was sweating. Her hair striking, coming to his face on his wet brows, eyebrows. Where's the child? He asked where the child is. The midwife made a frightened gesture. The action of the lady was afraid, frightened, fearsome. Why? Because she placed the baby beneath the bed. She placed the baby under the bed. In a flash, Andrew knelt down. To sit on knee is called kneel. Second, Kneel, kneel, and the second form of kneel is knelt. He sat on his knees, fishing amongst. Fishing means finding something uh, somewhere. So he searched amongst, because what was laying there? Sodden waste newspapers below the bed. So amongst those newspapers, he found the baby. He searched for the baby. He pulled out the child, a boy, perfectly formed. The baby. Now you got to know that baby was a boy. Till here we got to know only the birth, about the birth of baby, but here we got to know it was a boy baby. So it was a boy baby he found, and it is written, it was well built, well, perfectly formed. Means the body, the baby was healthy enough. The limp, warm body was white and soft as tallow. The body of the baby was limp, lifeless, not erect. Is called, the body of the baby is called limp, lifeless, because it doesn't have any life. What is the meaning of tallow? The hard fat of animal melted and used to make soap. So the body of the baby was lifeless, dull, laying without life, warm and white and soft. It was because when life is there in the body, it gets pink, but the writer says that it is white because there was no life in the body, and it is like tallow. The cord, hastily slashed, lay like a broken stem. You all know, with the navel of the baby, there remains the cord connected to its body. So that was hastily, in hurriedly, it was taken out. So it lay like broken stem, lifeless stem. It is laying like. The skin was of a lovely texture, smooth and tender. This paragraph describes the baby. The baby was lifeless. And because it is lifeless, the skin of the baby is smooth. The skin of lovely texture, fine texture. The skin is soft enough, smooth enough, tender. Tender again means very soft. You can understand tender means komal. So the head lolled on the thin neck. The head lay on the thin neck because it doesn't have life. It was laying lifeless, dull, like hanging on the neck. The head was hanging on the thin, small neck. The limbs seemed to be boneless. His body seemed to be boneless, as if there was no bone in the body. Now, page number 68. Still kneeling. Still he was, this is the word I was telling you. To sit on the knee is called kneeling. Kneel, K-N-E-E-L. And the second form of this word is knelt, K-N-E-L-T. So he was still kneeling. He was still sitting on his knees. Andrew stared at the child with a haggard frown. Still sitting on the knees, fine. Oh, okay, no worries. Let me complete this paragraph. After that, we will discuss. So he was sitting on his knee with can with a haggard frown. Frown means eyebrows. The whiteness meant only, he was still confused. He was thinking what to do. The whiteness meant only one thing: asphyxia and pallida. Again, these are pallida is again one more disease. So he witnessed. Now he was thinking of the problem the child had. So according to him, it is asphyxia and pallida. And his mind unnaturally tensed, raced back to a case he once had seen in Samaritan, to the treatment that had been used. Instantly, he was on his feet. Now, whenever we want to being a doctor, whenever we come to the application of our knowledge, what we do, we use our previous knowledge, how it was done previously, as we all are trained to rescue anyone from the heart disease. So what we are supposed to do, we start doing pumping. We start pumping the heart of the patient, and this is the way we are taught how we are taught. So the same as the doctor, whatever he had experienced in his life about asphyxia and pallida, he thought of that, and where did he see where did he saw that? He saw that in Samaritan. So he thought of that way of treating the baby, treating the patient, and he was on his toes. He thought to do the next action. In this way, he started to rescue the life of the lifeless baby, The remaining part we will study tomorrow. Akash sir, can you please unmute the student? They want to discuss something. So please unmute my student. They want to discuss something. Students को unmute